Here we go, and we are live, and we are both back home. So, Mark already arrived earlier this week. I arrived last night, and it's so good to be back here. And there's so much going on. Yesterday, the markets were closed because we had a bank holiday here in the US, June 19th. And then, wow, right now, Nvidia is just topping the news. Nvidia becoming the most valuable company and driving up the Nasdaq and the S&P. We had a few economic reports that we need to talk about, and then we need to catch you up on our positions and see what's going on. And with that said, welcome to Coffee with Markus and Mark. And in this show, we're going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And today is Thursday, June 20th. And Mark, we just talked about it. Isn't it good to be back home?
It is. It's nice to get back to the normal routine. It was a fantastic trip. Had a great time with our mastermind members, but nice to be back.
Yeah, so good to be back. And it seems that the markets are also celebrating that we are back. New all-time highs
Look at
again. I mean,
that.
it's almost every day we sound like a broken record. New all-time highs, new all-time highs, new all-time highs. Even though yesterday we had a holiday.
Yeah, and I mean, so far it's been quite a week. Monday was really the big day there with some big gains, but definitely seeing follow through after that rally. And like you said, record highs, record highs, record highs. We'll see when it stops.
Yeah, and I mean, it all seems to be driven by one company, Nvidia, which now is the largest US company. It's like,
Look at that.
holy cannoli, look at this. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about the top three here battling it out. But now we see that Nvidia is just up and away. So almost 3.4 trillion Microsoft, 3.3 trillion Apple right there, and Nvidia. Even today, while Microsoft and Apple are down, Nvidia tacking on another 1.9%. And I mean, it wasn't too long ago that Nvidia was below 100 and already right now at 138. Jeez.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, just now that it's a battle for second place between Apple and Microsoft, but Nvidia taking a commanding lead, it's like, will it ever stop?
Yeah, I just wanted to see where we are year to date, up 180%. I mean, this sounds like the next Tesla, right? I mean, everybody had a very similar excitement around Tesla, and now it seems to be Nvidia is everybody's darling right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing else to say, it seems. Okay, let's see. What else happening? So, economic calendar. So, a few things going on here. First of all, we did have the core retail sales on Tuesday coming in weaker than expected. Does this mean the economy is slowing down and the Fed will lower interest rates sooner?
I think that's where traders, one data point doesn't really matter, but looking at the overall trend, it's starting to appear as though maybe consumer spending is slowing down a little bit. Maybe the economy is weakening a little bit. Maybe jobs are, the employment situation is weakening a little bit. And all of that points to more cuts or at least faster cuts.
It seems so. And then also today, we had more economic news. So, yesterday, again, the bank holiday, unemployment claims coming in a little bit higher than expected, but lower than the previous month. Building permits down, Philly Fed manufacturing index down, housing starts down. So, the housing market seems to be softening a little bit. And I mean, that's kind of what Powell has been telling us all along, right?
Yeah. Exactly, and so it's not as though we're coming to a screeching halt with the economy, but it is kind of falling right into what the Fed wants.
Right. And I mean, Paul always said housing is lagging. He was never concerned about housing. He says housing will fall in line, and the housing costs were higher in most recent months. And he said it will come down. And this is kind of indicating yet that, yes, housing costs and costs for shelter might come down, or at least not accelerate at this higher rate that we have seen, and therefore keeping inflation in check.
Yeah,
Well,
Have you looked at probabilities recently?
I have, and it's kind of interesting. Not much has changed for the September meeting, right? So
Yeah.
we already talked about last we looked at this. Okay, there's a 10% probability of maybe in the July meeting. I don't think that this is going to happen. So the September meeting right now, we have a 65% probability that the Fed might lower interest rates there.
Yeah. And that December now starts to look even more promising.
Yeah, so we see that 70% rate cut by September, 94% probability of one cut by November, and then a pretty good probability for a September cut. So, I mean, the Fed initially said, okay, we're doing three cuts per year this year. Then they just dialed it back and said, nope, we're doing only one cut. Traders think, no, let's make this two.
Yeah. Well, traders have been wrong through a lot of this, but who knows? Maybe they have a better feel for things. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
And I mean, talking about interest, the Switzerland, the Swiss bank cut interest for the second time already this year to 1.25%. I mean,
Like,
that's Switzerland. Bank of England keeps rates unchanged at 5.25, very similar to what we have here in the US. So, but what we saw that wasn't it also the ECB, the European Central Bank, that cut rates recently?
I think it was. Yeah.
So, I mean, we have the first banks around the world start cutting interest rates. Interesting. Anyhow, so today, if you look at the markets today, at first it was up, up and away. But if you're looking at a 5-minute chart of the S&P 500, we see that, okay, opening higher and then storming higher, pulling back, filling the gap right here after we had the higher open. And right now, moving a little bit higher. I mean, this morning we cracked 5,500 for the first time
Yeah.
ever. And I think it was just last week where we said, oh, yeah, we cracked 5,400 for the first time ever. And a few weeks ago, 5,300. I mean, it just keeps accelerating.
And I mean, here you have that perfect gap fill and then drift. It looks like we want to see 5,500 plus right now.
It almost seems so. It almost seems so. Hey, did you hear about Warren Buffett increasing his stake in Oxy
I
again?
missed that.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, so Warren Buffett
Love an
buying
Oxy.
more Oxy now, bringing his overall stake to 29%. And as you can see, Oxy reacting. The Buffett effect right now up 2.1%. And we see that it went basically from 60. I believe that he might have bought around here, around 60, to just like this, 62.55.
Oxy one that I definitely would have liked at the lower levels, but we traded Halliburton, happy with that position. But when it pulled back towards 60 and got down there, it seemed like that was going to be a decent wheel.
Yeah. Before we go to our position, I want to see what's happening here with GameStop today. Okay, a little bit all over the place right now, trading right there at 24.75, which is kind of roaring kitties position, right? I mean, look at this. It seems, I mean, this is from a week ago. I haven't seen that he posted anything else, but the price paid 23.41 is average cost basis. So right now, just hanging in there.
23.41. Gosh, I know that he's built up a sizable position, but it seems like a lot of that came from the pre-trade before that post, and since then, looks like he's left a lot of profit on the table.
Uh, yeah, you think, right? I mean, at some point it was trading at 50. I mean, this would be twice as much as it is right now. But this, I
Yeah.
mean, we talked about it. It really seems that right now it's more of a gamble than really an educated guess.
Yeah, I agree. This is the whole thing. It's just more of a gamble than an investment or an educated guess.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our position. So this is where we're trading the smart way. And we actually, that's the other thing I want to bring up for a moment. We actually trade what we see, not
Yes.
what we think. Right? So this is where I think that's important here. So let's talk about WTF trades. So right now we have several open trades. So AIG, one of the trades that we have, and here where did we enter this one? Did we enter this at 74.84? Yeah, this one is slightly down. We entered this right there. So we were down 60 cents on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have MO, Altria Group. So this is really behaving nicely. We entered it at 44.22. Right now,
Yep.
already up. Hmm?
No, I was confirming. 44.22.
Yep. And then right now, already up at 44.96. So that is working out great. Happy with this one. Now, you also entered mRNA, and I decided to skip this one. And right now, this is a nice reversal today, coming back towards your entry price.
Yeah, so I got filled 136.58. I decided to take this one. Nice to see that recovery today.
Yeah. And then we have RTX. So RTX, we entered a few days ago at 104.59. Right now, trading at 105.04. So slightly up. I'll take it.
Yep.
And then we had a super quick trade, Verizon. I mean, this was a trade in and out, kind of. I mean, Verizon, we entered at 39.71 and then exited this morning actually at 39.80 something. So a small $150 trade, but working out picture perfect, exactly as we wanted it.
Yeah, I got out at 39.87. Nice to have a nice quick 1 day trade, but this one would have been a little nicer if it had a little more meat on the bone at the open. But that's
Yeah.
okay. Follow the plan.
Follow the plan, and that's what we do. So right now, I have 3 open positions. You have 4 open positions. So we are ready to add some more trades, but we have to wait for a pullback here. All right. Wheel trade. CSIQ, a little bit all over the place. I mean, this morning we were looking at selling the 15 put for another partial rescue mission here. I mean, it has been trading as high as 21, now pulling back towards 16. With another partial rescue mission, I would bring down my cost basis from right now 27.66 to around 23.24. And I like this a lot. So want to see if maybe we can sell the 15 put here and fly another partial rescue.
Yeah, and for me, it would be bringing down my cost basis to about 24.97. Still like the idea, but keeping an eye on it. And I think bottom line is we're both open to adding to this if it makes sense.
Yeah. Then we have Halliburton. Halliburton trade that we are both in right now. So you first sold to the 34.50. You were able to sell calls against your position. I sold the 34.50, got assigned. I have not yet been able to sell calls against my existing position. Right now, slightly up, so 0.7%. You actually, you sold even more calls yesterday. Talk us through that.
Yeah, so I was looking at, well, it was on Tuesday, knowing that we had Wednesday as a market holiday, and then there would be Thursday and Friday this week. I was looking at this Friday's expiration. There was a decent amount of premium, but I decided let's go for the bigger premium next Friday, and I was able to sell those calls at 35 cents. So that worked out nicely, and I do have an order for me. I like to exit with a 1 day trade, which today would count. If I could buy those back at 7 cents, I will. Right now, they're up 62%. So I'll take that. Doesn't look like I'm going to have my 1 day 80% exit, but those working out and the going out the extra week definitely worked in my favor this time.
Yeah, and you already sold calls twice, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
where's your break even right now?
I need to double check, but I first sold calls at 25 cents. So I closed those for 2 cents. So I got 23 cents there. Then
Right.
I have the 35 cents that I just collected. And to get into the trade, This is where I'd have to look at how much I got on those puts, but it's working out just like I'd want.
Yeah, I mean, so you're already below 34, approaching probably 33.50 at some point, depending on where you entered. All right,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
worked out nicely. Now, IWM, this is a trade that we took where we sold the 202 puts. And here, right now, this morning, we were able to sell calls against our existing position because we did get a sign. This was a couple of weeks ago. And right now, this is looking really good. If we get assigned tomorrow or if we get called away, we are ready to reset, probably right around here at 198, 199. So we'll see what happens here.
yeah. Liking this opportunity. This was a trading idea, a little bit of a modification that we talked about with our mastermind members in Barcelona, and it's working out just as we would hope.
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, as you can see, I already collected a lot of premium right now by break even already at 198.88. So this worked out great. This is the Russell 2000 ETF. And then we have Coles. I traded Coles. You decided to skip it. Coles today having a fantastic day. I
Yeah.
sold the 2150 expiring tomorrow. And I was hoping to first get a sign and then Coles would rally. But Coles decided to rally today. So we'll see. If I'm not getting assigned, I'm willing to sell this again next week.
Yeah, nice opportunity on this one. Like you said, I passed on it, but looking good.
Yeah. And then our little buddy UPS today having a good day, up 1.6%, going back to kind of the 137, 138 level where it decided to hang out right now at 136.39. But yeah, still ways to go until we can sell calls there. But come on, UPS, it's time for you to make a move.
I agree. Find and support, I'll take that, but to the moon. To the
To the
moon.
moon, to the moon, or at least to 165. So we'll see. I mean, this is overall not bad. I mean, we calculated this morning with our mastermind. How much are you down on this position? Was it like 20-ish% or something like this?
19%. Yeah.
19%. Yeah. I mean, so
That
this is
doesn't
why.
count any premium. That's where I own shares. So it doesn't count anything I collected.
Right, right. And I mean, my break even at 134.90. So right now we are trading above our break even again. I'm liking this, but I'm not willing to give back some of the premium that I sold. So I wanted to go up to 157.50, which is my cost basis. All right. So these are the trades. And before we see of what the markets are doing and what to expect from the markets for the remainder of the week, I mean, dude, last week when we were in Barcelona, you won hands down. And I really surrendered because when you had the walkie talkie joke, I mean, this was amazing. What do you got for us today?
Well, I don't think it's gonna live up to the walkie-talkie joke, but how do you make Budweiser?
I don't know.
Send him to college.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. So here's mine. Debbie is blaming me for ruining her birthday. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I didn't even know it was her birthday. All right. You vote. Dear viewers, which one do you like better? Do you like Mark's Budweiser joke or my ruining the birthday joke? All right. Go back, look at the markets diddling along. It has been a slow week, and there's also nothing on the
Yeah.
economic calendar tomorrow that could move the markets. We have flash manufacturing and flash services PMI. I don't think that this is going to move the markets. I think that we might have to look into next week to see what's happening. Next week, we have consumer confidence, we have the final GDP, and we have the core PCE price index, the Fed's favorite inflation gate. So next week, definitely more action than this week.
Yeah. So something to potentially create a little volatility in the market right now. It's just let's drift higher and see where we go from here. Hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, talking about volatility, volatility is a little bit up today, which is surprising because the overall markets are up. But we are still trading below 13 in the VIX, the fear index. So, I mean, fear has left the building, but let's see, definitely some more volatility next week.
That would be the plan.
All right. Well, with that said, I hope that you enjoyed today's show. And if you did, give us a like. If you also liked our little jokes, give us another like. You actually can't. You just hit like once. Anyhow, if you feel that this was worth content worth sharing, click the share button. It's right underneath there. And if this is your first time here, click on subscribe because this way you get notified whenever we go live again, which will be again tomorrow morning, where we'll see where do we end up the week and can the markets eke out another record close today, and where do we get it from there into the weekend. Until then, have a great rest of your day.
Happy trading, everybody.